Welcome to the video, a summary of 20 years of sales experience. And this video is maybe a little bit different because I want to talk about my personal experience, maybe also talk about the things that I believe in personally that might help you to become a more successful salesperson. In general, when you think about sales, or when people think about sales, they feel like, okay, a salesperson is someone that they don't want to deal with because a salesperson tries to convince them of something that they don't want, but in reality, there's a variety of salespeople and everybody is really in sales. So no matter what you do, no matter what your job title says, everyone is in sales. And every business transaction has to do with selling. So when I started out in my personal life, I was 20 years old. I started for this financial planning organization, and I was on straight commission selling financial products like mutual funds and so forth. And by the time I was 21, I was earning $10,000 a month, and that was a lot of money for me back then. And by the time I was 23, I became the #1 team leader. And then eventually I went into institutional sales. And finally I went into private equity sales, where I sold stocks of my own companies and raised capital that way. So basically, I started with selling at a very early age, and now I'm 42, having a lot of sales experience or past sales experience. And I can tell you that this is the #1 skill that helped me to become more successful in life. And I hope that through this video series, you were able to pick up some of the tips and insights that I have about sales, and that can help you to become more successful as well. You see, everybody wants to be successful and make a lot of money. However, it's not intelligence or technical knowledge that makes you rich. It's the ability to sell yourself, to sell your ideas, to sell your products and services. And success in business or in sales is not achieved overnight. It's a process of learning, of improving, of getting better, and it's mainly a mental game. So when you're trying to become successful, obviously, whatever you do, whatever your actions are, they will have some cause and effect. So you have some effects, which are sales results, but it's really going to affect your entire life, because when you choose the profession of becoming a salesperson in whatever industry you are, your life, your income, your goals and dreams are all connected, and selling is not just a profession. It's actually a calling. And it was the same for me. When I was in sales, when I started in sales for the first 6 years, I was a very successful salesperson. However, after a while, I was so burnt out. I had enough of selling. I basically wanted to have any other job than a sales job. And I changed, I didn't change the industry. I stayed in the financial field, but I tried to avoid sales. And what happened was my life was difficult, my income wasn't good anymore, and so forth. And when I decided to embrace selling back into my life, when I embraced it with basically all my heart, what happened? Because it was my calling and it was my talent, everything took off again. And it was better than ever before. So just remember, when you try to be successful, you need to be successful in sales. You need to, if you want to be successful in business, you can't avoid sales. And it's the #1 skill that will determine success or failure. If others have done it before you, let's say if others made $1 million with sales or with selling a product or service, then you can do it too. All you have to do is you have to find out what others have done and then copy their actions, find out what their mental attitude is, and do the same things, and you will achieve the same results. So sales is really learnable, or the process of selling is learnable, but also knowing what kind of attitude you must have or adopt in order to be successful. And I've seen many average people, or people with average intelligence and average talent, who worked very hard with the right mental attitude, who set more appointments than others, who set goals, who were dreaming big and so forth, who got better over time because the more they sold, the better their technique became and the more experience they had. And over time, they became sales superstars. So wherever you are now, and even if you're at the point where you feel like giving up, you see, you can make it happen. I remember there was one time when I was early on, like 3 months into my new job as a salesperson, I wanted to give up. I was so depressed. I hated the rejection, and I was afraid of rejection and being ridiculed or just not making it happen. And what happened then, my team leader took me and he made phone calls. He forced me basically to make phone calls together with him. And with that, I was able to set some appointments. And because I was setting some appointments, I got some sales done and so forth. And it was a positive spiral that happened in the right direction. But it was a breaking point for me. And here's what I want to tell you. And this happens basically to everyone. So let's say you learn something new. So you learn something new. And then what happens, it goes a little bit, but really it's not really working out. So you fail, okay? So things are not working out. Okay, and then what do most people do? That's when they give up. And that's where I was also, I almost gave up. But then there's something else that you need to learn that you don't know. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It's just there's some information that you're missing or something that you're not doing, right? And then you will get success, okay? And that is a natural process. And it's so hard to see the bigger picture sometimes because once we're in this situation here where we fail, we tend to say, oh, it's the market's fault, the products are not selling, the client's fault, this is not working, and so forth. And most of us want to give up, okay? And it's a normal thing. And then fear of rejection, inexperience, and so forth come. But just look at your field, look at your market, look at your industry, and see, are there people who are succeeding? Are there people who make it work? And if the answer is yes, then you know it's doable, it's possible. And the only reason why you're failing is because you're not doing the right things or you're missing some information, and you need to figure out what that is. And it's not easy, but once you do it, you will get the success that you want. And then also realize that success in sales, okay, or in business for that matter, is a numbers game, no matter what, okay? And average salespeople can compensate their weaknesses by setting more meetings than others, okay? So let's say there's always a quota. There's always a possibility to make it happen. Let's say if you call 1,000 people, out of 1,000 people, there's just at least one person who will buy your products because maybe he feels sorry for you or something like that. But there's always a percentage that will buy your products. Okay, it's never zero. There's always someone who will buy it. There's always someone who will get the product, okay, for whatever reason. So your way then is to figure out how to get better leads, how to improve your closing rate and so forth, and how to make it happen. But basically, if you set more meetings or deal with more clients or have more leads or just make more phone calls than anybody else, there is always a way and there's always a solution. So it's always doable. And obviously everything else in between is tweaking, improving, is, getting a better strategy, getting a better way and so forth. But if you don't give up, if you just keep going, you will always find a client, you will always get some money. There is no other way. So just remember that even when you're down and out, just remember it's a process. There's something you need to change, something you need to learn, and so forth. But it's always doable. Well, the main problem with new salespeople is fear of rejection. And obviously, this is something that you must overcome. And the more you deal with your fears, the more you do things despite your fear, the easier it will get, okay? It's basically like this. I always call it the elephant skin test. So in the beginning, we all have baby skin, okay? Someone says something mean to you, something, says, no, I don't want your product, I hate your company, you're stupid as a salesperson, whatever they say. It hurts so much, and then basically our mood is down, and we want to give up, okay? But as you have more experience, as you are, dealing more with more clients over time, your skin will get as fat and as thick as the one of an elephant. And no matter what the person says, nothing can hurt you anymore. And this is just something that develops over time, okay? So even if something, bothers you, you get hurt, you're too sensitive and so forth, trust me, it will get better. Okay, it's just a matter of dealing with more people, having some little successes, having a little bit of momentum and so forth, and the fear will go down, okay? Your skin will get thicker. It's just a matter of time. Now, the other thing is too, if there's people in your organization or your field who are doing much better than you are today, guess what? You need to ask them. And you know what happens? Most successful people are willing to share their secrets with other people, okay? If you're honest about trying to learn, to get better, to improve yourself, you can, pay for someone else's lunch or, see if you can pick their brains and meet with them. And someone who's more successful will always tell you because at one day they were in the same shoes that you are in right now. But then the next thing you should do is you should read books, you should go to the sales seminars, you should listen to all your programs, you should do whatever course you can find on sales, on improving your skills and so forth that you can find. And let me just give you an example. So let's say you read, one book a week ideally, but let's say you only read one book a month, okay? So after 1 year, you've read 12 books, okay, on sales, on time management, on personal success, on marketing, on business, and so forth. Do you think that those 12 books will make a difference and help you to become better at what you do? And of course you will, okay? So do that. And the next thing you should do is, besides seminars and books and reading and so forth, is you should practice, okay? You need to, like every, let's say a skier, okay? A skier who's the number one skier in the world, what do they do all day? They still go to practice. They practice the same basic routine every single day because they need to get better, okay? And it's with any other sports, with any other profession and so forth, you need to practice, okay? Practice with your team leader, practice with your colleagues, with your dog if you have to, okay? But just remember that no one has ever been perfect from the start, okay? Everyone needs to practice. Everyone needs to work on the basic elements. Another factor is obviously your mental attitude. Now, if you identify yourself 100% with the products and the company that you're selling, okay, and you're in there with your whole heart, that's when you will succeed. If for any reason you don't 100% believe in the company's products and so forth, you're not going to be able to convey to your clients. You're not going to be able to sell anything. So if you have some sort of doubts, if you feel like, maybe the product isn't a good one and so forth, then you know what? You need to look at your company. You need to, maybe get convinced yourself first, because otherwise you're not going to sell anything. If you don't have a fire in you to sell, you can't expect to get the spark over to your client, okay? So that's why one of the important things is to really learn absolutely everything about your company, about your products, about your industry. Learn and become a real specialist in your field and learn absolutely every detail that you can learn, just so that you have the right kind of mental attitude, that you appear more professional, that you're more competent and you know what you're talking about. And you know what? That kind of self-confidence will show. Another thing that's really important is to dream big, to have goals, and to think about your life. What is it that you want to achieve in your life? And having goals, like let's say you want to have a house, you want to have a certain car, whatever the thing goals are, they are important and you should have them. And usually you should just take those goals and translate them into how many sales do you need to do. And break it down to every month and break it down into every week and every day and your activities and so forth. Because here's what you need to know. When you get rejection, and some people, let's say they make 100 phone calls a day, and 95 people will tell them, no, I'm not interested, sorry, go away, hang up on you, or rude to you, and so forth. You need to have a reason why you're going through all this pain, okay? And so that's why when everybody doesn't like what you have to offer initially, it's easy to get discouraged, okay? It's easy to lose your energy and power. That's why you need goals, and you need to think about your goals on a daily basis. You need to write them down for 5 minutes each morning, and you need to know why you're doing what you're doing. And sales, so to speak, is a tool to achieve your goals, okay? It's a mere, it's helpful. It's a process that helps you to achieve what you want to achieve in life. And therefore, you need to set goals, okay? And you need to set them high, and you need to make them possible and realistic. And you have mini goals. You also, I also feel like, once a month or so for like a long weekend, you should take your wife and your kids and go somewhere, okay? Don't suffer, let's say, for years and never even buy something. Buy yourself something here and there. You're going to get more and more momentum and be motivated to keep going. And sometimes, you have a bad day, okay? You lost a client, things are not working out whatsoever. And I remember when my employees were down and out and they were not feeling well, always remember that 50% of the money that you earn, and usually if you can earn a lot of money, 50% is for the pain, okay? And the other 50% is for the actual work that you do. So that makes it a little bit easier, because sometimes, it can be hard because it's a psychological game. It's a psychological challenge, because sometimes it hurts. And no matter what, how experienced you are, not everything is always going to work out perfectly. But that's just the, name of the game. So that's why it's also important to charge your batteries, from time to time. Let's say every 6 weeks you go on a holiday for a week or so, or you have extended weekends away, or you buy yourself like a nice watch, or do something good for you, just so that you can always stay happy, motivated, and have a good energy, because you need that. Okay, so take care of yourself and work hard, but also enjoy your life while you're doing this. When I was 23 years old, I became a team leader, and I had a team of 25 salespeople. And at that time, I was in Europe in a sales organization, and there was over 5,000 salespeople and about 1,000 team leaders. Okay, so what happened was I became the #1 team leader of all of Europe. And how did that happen? How did I make that work? Okay, I mean, I was very proud. I was very young, but it had to do with planning. Okay, with leaving nothing to chance. So I knew when I would have my personal time, when I had to work, I would plan my entire week in advance all the time. Another thing was I was focusing on training and education my salespeople. I was trying to enable them so that they would do well. And finally, and that's the most important thing, is I made a conscious decision or choice to become the best salesperson in my company, okay? And that's what you have to do. You have to make the decision to get to the top, okay? You can't just say, well, I'm just going to work a little bit, a little bit here, a little bit there, and see what happens. No, that's not going to work. You need to say, okay, I'm going to be the best no matter what. I'm going to lead the sales charts And when you make that choice, it comes with consequences. And the consequences are you work harder, you plan better, you're more focused, and so forth. And you need to become a specialist. You need to learn everything about sales, about your industry, about the products. And you need to really focus on the numbers. So once you do that, you can get to the top. But without that decision, without that choice, it's not going to happen. Another factor is your internal motivation. You see, you need to have external motivations like having that, nice sports car, whatever you want to buy yourself to get you motivated. That's important. However, without the right internal motivation, you're not going to become the best. And what do I mean by that? For example, in my first month, I had a great coach and team leader. He's actually a multimillionaire today, about $50 million. And he said to me, look, Norman, do you want to do this job and make $5,000 per month and just be like anybody else in the world, an average person who makes $5,000, who goes to work, for 40 years, and that by the time he's 65, he's going to retire, and maybe you're dependent on the state or you have a little bit of money, but really you're just a number. Okay, and he said that to me, and I thought, no, I don't want to be a number. I don't want to be average, and I want to be out of the masses. I wanted to be something special, and that was my driving force. That was an internal motivation for me to say, you know what? I'm going to make it to the top. I'm going to be someone special. And that was my driving force. I didn't want to end up like everyone else. I have a normal life. That was not what I was striving for, okay? And maybe that motivates you too. So if you don't want to just be average like everyone else, then change it. Do something about it. Use sales. Use the power of sales to make it happen. Then also, when you're in a sales organization, you work with a lot of other salespeople who are also a little bit, let's say, crazy or dynamic or loud, and they're like-minded people. Okay, so it's a group, and it can be fun because you can motivate each other. Someone does better than you, and you have that competitiveness, and you want to just make sure you overtake him, and so forth. So it can be fun. And when money flows, it can be great too. You can go out together, you go to a club or a bar, and you have fun. And, everybody buys a nice car and, all the things that go along with it. So when money flows, and life can be a lot of fun and so forth. But here's what I want to tell you, okay? I've met a lot of people who made a lot of money, who made, several $100,000 a year, and who bought sports cars. The first thing they did is they bought themselves a sports car. But then, what happened is somehow they self-sabotaged themselves with alcohol, with drugs, with women, with whatever it was, okay? And they weren't smart about saving or investing their money. And I've seen a lot of talented people, great salespeople who've destroyed themselves, who worked for 10, 20 years and really have nothing to show for it because they were partying the whole time, they were enjoying life and so forth, but they never really, made smart financial decisions, even though they had all the options and they made a lot of money. So my advice to you is this. Whenever you have, a great income and things are going well, just be smart about your money. Put something aside. Have fun, yes, but at the same time, be smart, make good decisions. Save your family, save for your retirement, buy an apartment or something where that's definitely not going away. You're going to always keep that. Don't overspend, don't increase your monthly costs just because you think you can afford it all the time. Because sometimes, life changes and things are not always the same. There's ups and downs and just a normal part of life. But just secure some of the money and be smart about what you do. That's my advice to you. You see, I was on top of the world. I was a multimillionaire. I had everything. I was so great at sales, and I had high self-confidence. I had lots of energy, I had lots of money, and so forth. And I thought nothing can ever happen to me. Okay, But then, life happened and I lost everything. I fell into like a depression. I lost everything. I was down. I hit rock bottom. And there were a lot of reasons and so forth. But here's my message. You see, sometimes you hit rock bottom, okay? And it happens to a lot of salespeople. I have a friend, he made $22 million as a stockbroker, okay? $22 million with one deal. And he basically sent a letter to all his clients saying, hey, you know what? I'm out. Goodbye, everyone. I don't need you anymore, and so forth. And he thought he had it made. And then what happened? He, unfortunately, this company that he had most of his stock in went down. It got bankrupt. He lost all that money. And then he had a motorcycle accident, and the steering wheel hit his neck, and it hit his voice. So before he had this deep, dark voice, and then he sounded a little bit like, like Mickey Mouse. It was kind of hard for him, for his self-confidence and so forth. So he lost all his money, he lost his voice, and he had to start all over again. So think about that. And he was a superstar, okay? Same happened to me. I was, at the top. I had so much money. I didn't think anything could ever happen to me anymore. And you know what? It did, okay? And so no matter how great or how successful you are as a salesperson, it can happen to anyone, okay? It can happen really to anyone, especially people who think they're invincible and, then start taking drugs and they self-sabotage themselves. And before you know it, all the money's gone, all your friends are gone, and everything's gone. So just be smart, okay? Save for the future. Don't make stupid decisions, okay? I know I have done lots of stupid decisions, but just be smart about it, and don't go overly crazy, and save your money and save for the future, because it can happen to anyone. Then also, remember, success in sales or in general in business is a mental game. It's always all in your head. So every success that you achieve has to do with the law of cause and effect. And the more causes you set, the more results you will get. There is a statement from Meier. It's called, nothing will work until you do. Okay? And you can't get upset with the results that you didn't get because you didn't do the work, okay? So you are always responsible for your success, for your results. It's not the market, it's not the clients, it's not the products, it's not the company. If you fail, it's no one else's fault but yours. And it's always a mental game. So sometimes, falling down, hitting rock bottom, sometimes losing everything can be a good thing, can be good because you realize what's really important. And then also, remember, 20% of all your activities are responsible for 80% of your success. So which means that you need to focus on income generating activities like making phone calls, finding the right clients, meetings and so forth. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to organize the office well and hopefully something will happen. It doesn't. You need to full-heartedly focus on client acquisition, on trying to make it happen. Self-confidence is the number one factor for sales success. And here are a few, let's say, tips or insights that will help you. Number one, it helps to act as if you were successful already today. Okay, so for example, when you start going to the office and so forth, make sure you dress well. Make sure you look like $1 million. Make sure you act the part, because once you act like that, you're going to speak differently, you're going to feel differently, and it's going to show when you deal with clients. The other thing is to have clear objectives and a clear plan, okay? To have clarity is one of the most important things. So when you set goals and you develop a plan, make it as clear as possible of every day what you need to do. Let's say you make a list of 5 things every single morning that you want to achieve that particular day. And your day doesn't stop before you haven't achieved those 5 things. And it's actually a great rule, and I've worked with it almost my entire life, and it really changed everything, because you don't work when you feel like working, or you don't work when you don't feel like working. You function according to your objectives, according to your plans, according to your goals, okay? And then the next thing is also take charge of your results. There are no excuses. No one is coming to the rescue. No one will do it for you. You have to do it. And if things are not going well, you know what? It's your fault, okay? You are responsible no matter what, okay? And if you dealt with someone and the person cheated you, or you made you believe, or he was the reason or she was the reason why it didn't work out, you know what? No, it was your fault because you made the poor decision or choice to believe that person, okay? So you always need to have a plan B too. And then also, as I said, focus your energy and time on income-producing activities. If you, let's say, have a house and you say, oh, but I need to clean up my house, I need to do, housework and, laundry and this and that. No, you know what? For the 5 hours a week that you need to do housework, hire a cleaning lady for $10 or $15 an hour, and then, work those 5 hours and make sales and make $1,000, for example, and then pay the cleaning lady. Don't get excuses and think that, oh, I have no time because I have all these other commitments. No, you need to plan, you need to delegate, you need to focus on income-producing activities. And then also, you need to have a sense of urgency. You can't say, well, if it's not this month, it's next month. No, you know what? You're not getting ahead like that, okay? You don't have all the time in the world, because you need momentum and you need that drive and power. Otherwise, you need to make it a must. If you don't make it a must, you're not getting anywhere. And then finally, you need to keep reading and learning and studying every single day about business, sales, success, marketing, about personal development, about business development. You need to improve yourself. You need to practice. You need to read. You need to watch, videos that focus on learning something specific that can help you to become better at achieving your goals. So don't just waste your time with useless things by surfing the internet or watching TV all day. Okay, and you need to make a commitment to never give up, no matter what happens. Okay, no matter what comes your way. No matter what the problems you face in your life, because, we all have problems. We all have difficult, mother or brother or sister or father or some situation or girlfriend or whatever it is. There's always something that will hinder us to really fully function. So don't make excuses and work hard. And here, just as an example, for example, Brian Tracy. I love Brian Tracy. He's one of my role models. He has a video series of 30 videos. It's called Successful Selling. And it's, every day, it's 25 to 30 minutes. It's a video that you can watch just to improve your skills. Or, as I said, read books on, sales and sales psychology, for example, and so forth, just to improve your skills. So, all in all, I hope that this video series has helped you to get some more insights, to learn certain techniques to become better and more successful in your life. And I hope that this was a great experience for you. Thank you very much for listening, and all the best.